Hello, this is Keith, welcoming you to the 2044th edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline the 7th of April 2016. The readers this week are Janet, Sally and Colin, with Robin on the controls. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, under their copyright. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Ferdinand Bouillon and Harry Breur, and is performed by Jean-Jacques Perry. It is used with his kind permission. Local stories include I Didn't Realise I Was About to Have a Baby and Drive-by Shooting Stuns Leafy Suburbia. There are a few special news items this week. First, we must apologise for the poor quality and short length of the recording last week, which was due to a technical glitch. You may have noticed a different set of voices halfway through the broadcast. This was because we added the latest edition of InfoSound London to the end of the first half of our recording. We're sorry it wasn't possible to introduce InfoSound and apologise for any confusion caused. Now, many listeners are already receiving ETN on memory stick. The new memory sticks are easy to use and the sound quality of the recording is much improved. The listeners are able to obtain a memory stick player from ETN if they don't already have a device for playing memory sticks. Edition 2047 on Thursday, April the 28th will be our last broadcast on tape. We have around 20 listeners who are receiving our weekly broadcast on tape or CD. Unfortunately, we have been unable to contact these listeners, either because we have no telephone number on file or because the telephone number we have in our records has changed. If you are still receiving ETN on tape, please make contact with Diane de Jersey to discuss how we can support you in using the new memory sticks. You can telephone Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. Our last special news item is the Enfield Macular Disease Support Group, which meets on the second Wednesday of every month from 10 a.m. to 12 noon at the Trinity Church Hall, Gentleman's Row, Enfield EN2 6AN. The meetings are open to anyone affected by central vision loss, and carers are welcome as well. If you'd like further details, please contact Alan Newson on 020 8886 5659. That's Alan Newson on 020 8886 5659. Now, if you're experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. As you know, she is your listener's representative and she will be more than pleased to help you. Now, Janet will read the first item of local news.
For most mothers-to-be, pregnancy can be a mix of exciting, wonderful, terrifying and incredibly painful. But Jenka Taylor of North Circular Road, Palmer's Green, did not find out she was expecting until her daughter Zara was born. The 19-year-old woke up in agony on March the 10th and went to the toilet, assuming she had severe period pain or constipation. But when it got worse, she called her mother Kooky, who rushed to her side and noticed she was bleeding. Jenica, who is studying forensic science at the University of West London, said, "On a Richter scale, my pain could have been on the red alert. I'm usually a pretty calm person, but at this point I didn't realise I was in labour. I sat on the toilet and Mum rang the paramedics. She then put her hand under me and said she could feel a head. I got up, took 5 steps, and she landed in my mum's hand. I didn't even push. I didn't even realise I was about to have a baby until that point. I thought I was on another planet, but the paramedics were incredible. Jenica, who has a part-time job in Starbucks, was too stunned to speak to the paramedics, took her and little Zara to hospital. But despite being born at 7 months and weighing just 4 pounds 3 ounces, she only spent 5 days in hospital. 3 weeks on, Zara is a happy and healthy baby, and is doted on by her Uncle Jay, 17, and Auntie Kieran, 16, and grandparents Cookie and Ketten. Jenica's boyfriend, Suki Ferdinando, 19, is also besotted by his daughter. She added, "My dad was in Canada when she was born, and he was shocked. At first he was angry, but now he can't leave her alone. My mum is my best friend, my world, and now my personal midwife. My family are amazing and got us everything we needed. Zara is a lovely baby. She barely cries, she just sleeps all day and does what normal babies do. She's also gaining weight. It's been hard, but also so amazing. Zara did not gain weight during her pregnancy, had no cravings or back pain, and still had regular monthly periods. She also drank alcohol, and days before she gave birth, she spent an afternoon sipping cocktails with her mother. Although she was not using contraception, she did not think she would get pregnant, and is now keen to raise awareness about safe sex. Jenica, who is considering becoming a midwife of her daughter's whirlwind birth, added, "I didn't think that really happened, but I want to show people that it does. What has helped me through this rocking transition is the support and love that has been provided."
Police are investigating a suspected attempted drive-by shooting in a leafy Enfield residential side street. Officers were called to reports of shots being fired at a car in Armfield Road near the junction with Lancaster Road. No one was injured in the shooting, which is being investigated by officers from Trident, the Met's Gun and Gang Crime Unit. Sam Juna, an Armfield Road resident, told the Advertiser she was shocked when a policeman knocked on her door at about 8:15 p.m. to ask if she had heard anything. "I had no idea what he was talking about," she said, explaining she had had the television on and was busy in the kitchen, and so had not seen or heard anything going on in the street. "It is a really nice area. There are young families around here. It is a lovely area. I didn't fancy going to the shops or anything once I had heard about what happened." She said that when she ventured out, she was surprised not to see any broken glass or evidence of a skirmish in either Armfield Road or Lancaster Road. Police would not say if the intended target was another car, a pedestrian or a shop. Lancaster Road has escaped relatively unscathed from the gang violence that has blighted other areas. The Met Police have stressed that they are not specifically treating this shooting as an overspill of escalating gang violence in the borough, only saying that it was being treated as a firearms incident. In fact, mystery surrounds the details of the shooting, which occurred at a time when Lancaster Road was busy with pedestrians and cars. A woman who did not wish to be named and whose house is close to the scene of the shooting said that although she was in her home at the time, she heard nothing and only became aware of the incident when police knocked on her door. Asked for further details on the shooting, which has left residents shaken, a spokesman from the Met said no arrests had been made at this stage. He added, "This matter is being investigated with an open mind by Trident detectives. The motive is unknown at this stage." The shooting comes just a fortnight after a man was filmed firing what later turned out to be a starting pistol at a group of men running towards their car in Edmonton in broad daylight.
Staff at a hospital's learning disabilities ward are angry about plans to move services away from the site. The Seacole Centre, which is run from the site of Chase Farm Hospital in the Ridgeway, Enfield, by the Central and North West London NH Trust, is set to be moved 15 miles away to the Kingswood Centre in Kingsbury. The centre offers a range of therapy and healthcare in 2 units of 6 beds, with both units equipped with private gardens, gym and sensory room. Staff specialise in treating people with learning disabilities, mental health issues and other challenging behaviour. One member of staff, who wished to remain anonymous, said they had been left in the dark over their futures, with no consultation at all from senior staff in the Trust. They said, "After all our years of service, we still don't know our future. We are being treated very badly." Because of a lack of feedback from senior management, we have now gone to the MP. Is it acceptable to treat staff like this? We are the only one ward here providing services to learning difficulty patients in Enfield. So why is Kingswood still providing a learning disability service, yet we cannot? Joan Ryan, MP for Enfield North, said losing it would be a huge blow to her constituents. She said, "We are losing a valuable community service when there is no loss of need. The hospital must be absolutely straight with what is going on, and the two members of staff who have visited me say they have been given very little information on their future and are very unhappy with what is going on. The idea that staff can travel every day from Enfield to the Kingswood Centre is simply not feasible. What the Trust is doing at the moment is outrageous." Jeremy Dunning, a spokesman for CNWL, said currently only one patient is resident in the centre, proving the service unsustainable. The Trust also promised staff would be fully consulted over the logistics of the move. He said, "We are proposing to decant the Seacoal service to the Kingswood Centre. The commissioners are paying us for 2 beds there." Assessment and treatment for people with a learning disability has been transformed, with most people moved into the community in line with government policy. We are about to start a staff consultation on a support package for them to work at the Kingswood Centre, like paying travelling expenses and some travelling time counted as working time, but we're open to ideas. However, we know that it's very worrying for staff when changes become necessary, and we want to be as helpful as we can. Assessment and treatment for this group of patients has changed very dramatically and for the better, and we have to adjust our services to that fact.
Intimidating behaviour, vandalism and rough sleepers are just some of the problems plaguing a group of residents in Edmonton Green. Geary Court residents are scared to death by the gangs of youths who have got past the external door and set up home, armed with mattresses and chairs, on the landings of the 6th and 7th floors. The youths congregate outside flats, smoking drugs and intimidating anyone who challenges them, according to midwife Maria Petru. She is one of several key workers who bought her flat and moved into the L&Q Charitable Housing Association block 8 years ago. She has been complaining to the association, her landlord, for years, but she claims her pleas have fallen on deaf ears. Over the past month, the number of people and the problems have escalated as word spreads. Maria, 34, works as a midwife at the Royal London Hospital in Whitechapel, East London. She said, "There have always been gangs hanging about on the stairs, smoking weed, but now it's got a lot worse. They've moved onto the landings, so they are literally outside our door, sleeping rough. There's vandalism, used condoms, burn marks on the carpets. It's absolutely terrifying. We've tried to get them to leave, but we're all scared of confronting them." Last year, a 53-year-old man, Christopher Barry, as reported in the Advertiser, was stabbed to death by a 13-year-old in the next block because he asked him to leave. People are really fed up. One of the external doors is operated with a fob card, but can be opened from the inside and propped open. The other can be accessed via the flat's bins outside. Maria's partner, Antonis Michaelis, 33, a music teacher, said word seems to be spreading about the warm indoor place with carpets to sleep. He said it's so bad now that people are literally outside the door to our flat. I'm going out of the flat every hour to check that there isn't a fire started or worse. We are living in fear. An L&Q spokesperson said, "We're aware of the issues at Geary Court and are working hard with the residents, the council and the local police to address them. Since we began managing the block in 2014, we've taken numerous measures and are in the process of taking action against a number of responsible individuals. We appreciate the concerns of Geary Court's residents and are grateful for their ongoing cooperation and patience as we work with them and our partners at the council and police to resolve the issue."
A tree surgeon has been humbled by the way kind-hearted strangers have donated more than £1,000 after his bag was stolen. Lawrence Thor Stevens, who runs Thor Trees, was on a job in Grosvenor Court, Southgate, on March the 30th, when his wallet containing £700, keys, laptop and tablet were stolen from his van. The 25-year-old's diary was also taken, and he now has no record of where he is supposed to be over the next few weeks. As a result, he has been forced to try and contact his clients, but he says new customers have phoned him to find out where he is. But while he has suffered a loss, he has also received a huge help from the community after a Just Giving page was set up to help him get back on his feet. It's so far raised £1,165, with donations and messages of support coming from as far away as Australia. Mr. Stephen added, "The support has been overwhelming. I've got such lovely personal messages from people I haven't even met before. I'm still shocked by what happened, but it's reassuring to know that there are so many good people out there." Mr. Stephen, who lives in Bush Hill Park, only started the business 8 months ago and is now worried for the future. The bag, a black leather holdall emblazoned with the words Hadleywood Golf Club, was found the next day behind the job centre, completely empty. He said, "My whole life was in that bag. I was 40 feet up and up a tree when I found out. My heart just smashed to the floor. I have some records of jobs and things that can be replaced, but this is really a big loss. This was a big hit. I'd saved up to start this business for months, but everything has been taken." Hannah Newton from community group Love Your Doorstep set up the Just Giving page after seeing a Facebook post. She said he's a really hard-working young man with a new business. I just felt very strongly. He has always been ready to help or give advice to anyone, really giving back to the community, so we could not just let him suffer. We want to help him get back on track. Mr. Stephen is offering a £1,000 reward to anyone who helps him recover the lost items. A Met Police spokesman said, on March the 30th at 12:49 p.m, a white transit van parked on Grosvenor Court, Southgate, was entered into and the contents of a bag were stolen. Inquiries continue.
Neighbours say maggots have taken over the road because of a build-up of rubbish on their street. North Road in Edmonton has been blighted by waste because dump trucks struggle to pass through the cul-de-sac. Resident Lamar Phillips described his street as being a dumping ground for other roads. He said, "Every year maggots take over the whole road. The bin men are not doing their job properly. We thought the problem would be solved when we were finally given wheelie bins a couple of years ago, but we have to wait so long that the piles of rubbish bags are still there." Deborah Phillips says nothing was collected for 6 weeks over Christmas, and there has been uncollected rubbish on the streets for over a month over Easter. She said, "I have rung up the council and complained so many times. Now I just do not know what to do." The problem is that it is a narrow road and the bin lorry cannot get down it because of parked cars, but they don't seem to even try. One of my neighbours had to stand in front of the lorry once to stop them leaving as someone moved their car to let them in. The trash is also attracting wildlife, with neighbours spotting rats and foxes in among the rubbish. Daniel Anderson, Cabinet Member for the Environment, apologised to any North Road residents who had not had their rubbish collected. He said, "This has been for reasons beyond the Council's control, namely inconsiderate drivers who are frequently parking on the corners of the sharp bend halfway down North Road, regularly restricting access not only to our operatives, but presumably also to the emergency services." The presence of obstructing vehicles on March the 25th meant we were unable to empty the bins that week, but they were successfully collected on April the 1st. Councillor Anderson said they are consulting residents over possible parking restrictions, which would see yellow lines placed on a small stretch of the road to improve access. The consultation ends on April the 13th.
A push to increase the number of residents paying their council tax online has been criticised after a series of technical glitches left people's bank details exposed. Enfield Council is urging residents to sign up to Enfield Connected and pay their council tax by direct debit, even offering a cash incentive of £5,000 to one lucky winner entered into a prize draw. But the glitches in the system have meant that data protection issues have been breached, leaving private details exposed. Enfield resident Ruth Vracrimis told the Advertiser, "I set up my account, verified it through my email, and then put in a request to set up a direct debit for my council tax. On submission of the request, I was taken to someone else's account. I could see all her bank details and what she owed." The local authority said that by encouraging council taxpayers to sign up for direct debit meant savings could be made elsewhere, and stressed that minor issues within the system were being addressed as a matter of urgency. A council spokesman said, "Despite a few minor issues, Enfield Connected is a superb mechanism for residents to pay bills, find out what is going on in their communities, and report issues online, and I would thoroughly recommend residents sign up. We understand that with the rollout of any software, there will be a few glitches. We take these seriously and expect them to be resolved very soon. Enfield has a high rate of people paying its council tax, more than 98%. Achilles Georgiou, the council's deputy leader, said, "So far, 23,000 people have signed up to Enfield Connected, and since the £5,000 prize draw, 1,000 people have signed up to pay their council tax by direct debit. The £5,000 prize is being funded by the council. The savings made by collecting council tax and business rates by direct debit, and also encouraging residents and businesses to use their Enfield Connected account, far outweighs the prize incentive."
A man left waiting for hours after a crash has slammed an ambulance service's terrible organisation. Martin Mayer, 47, of Perrymead, Enfield, was hit by a car as he travelled along Holtwhite's Hill on his moped, knocking him off and breaking his left kneecap. He was hit at 4:35 p.m, but despite an ambulance being called immediately, one did not arrive until 6:25 p.m, and he got to hospital at 8 p.m, nearly 3.5 hours later. The target response time for the London Ambulance Service for Category A call-outs, the most serious, is 8 minutes. Mr. Mayor said that while the paramedics who eventually treated him were excellent, he was not happy at being forced to lie on the tarmac for so long. He said, "When I was hit, fortunately a police car was going the other way and they stopped to help and called an ambulance. Half an hour later they called again and it turned out I had not even been assigned one yet. After an hour I started shivering, losing concentration and feeling sick. I was passing in and out of consciousness." Mr. Mayor said that he has to suspend his course in construction at Enfield College because he has been unable to attend classes, and the whole ordeal has put a great strain on him and his wife. Data from the London Ambulance website shows the service often struggles to meet their targets, with only 59% of Category A calls in Enfield in August 2015 being responded to in under 8 minutes. Mr. Mayor said, "The organisation of London ambulances is very poor." London Ambulance have been contacted for comments.
A creative cake maker is in the running to whip up an upmarket supermarket's homage to the Queen's big birthday later this month. Waitrose asked bakers from across the UK to submit their designs for a special commemorative cake they will stock to mark the Queen's 90th birthday. Cake decoration and patissier expert Antoinette Satchel, 55, of Eaton Park Road, Palmer's Green, spotted the call-out to entrance on the supermarket's website. Taken with the idea of creating a regal-themed cake design, she whipped up her vision and asked her photographer daughter Lucy to send a picture to Waitrose. And now, out of hundreds of entrants, she has been selected as a finalist in the race to be crowned the most regal baker of them all. "I grew up in Victoria, and the bus to school used to go past Buckingham Palace every morning. In summer, we used to get so excited at the thought of catching a glimpse of her if there was a garden party on. The memories of Buckingham Palace on the bus to school inspired me to create something regal, but I can't say too much about the design, just in case." Designing show-topping birthday cakes is second nature to Antoinette. She kicked off her catering career 27 years ago when she made her first cake to mark her daughter's birthday. From that day on, she caught the baking bug and has never looked back. Inspired by what she could create, she began studying at Southgate College while her children were still young, picking up a raft of qualifications as well as a City and Guilds patisserie. It was doing this qualification that made me realise I had a talent for manipulating sugar. After sailing through college, she landed a job as an assistant chef with a French restaurant in Southgate. She then worked for a catering company before setting up her own business, the Salon Glace, in 2006, specialising in cake decorations. I'm thrilled to have made it this far. The competition was really excited. The winning design will be announced on April the 20th, the day before the Queen's birthday, and will go on sale for £10.
We have now reached the end of the first half of this week's recording. If you're listening on tape, please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over and start side 2. If you're listening on memory stick, click forward to the next track.